in his said, first preliminary practices or the foundation practices is to preparing ourselves. That is, to prepare ourselves. So to prepare ourselves. So those are what we discussed in that. And now we go to the now here the extraordinary foundation practices of the 7 training of the minds. So Hundro is in Tibetan, and I'm also now translating also foundations, foundation practice. Hundro is the foundation practices, and the Hundro is also not just the foundation. This is also middle practice too. Every time practice we do that. So it's the foundation practices. That. So now the second is the extraordinary training of the 7 training of the mind, or 7 mindful practices. 7 mindful practices. And now, what are those? Those are here. In Tibet, of course, that all component things are impermanent, like the water bubbles. And this is all called ordinary or the extraordinary practices, ordinary, but it is all is generally is not just a kind of like esoteric for the Buddhisms. It is for whether you're Buddhism or whether you're Buddhist practitioners or not practitioners, this is the reality of the way every things are. The most least, and of course, there's like the supreme part of the path or the nirvana, and as well as qualified teacher. Those are slightly different, but otherwise, all is really just to everyone. I mean, that whether you believe or not believe, that's the way that we are. We are. And in the general Hundro practices, what is called 4 point of the teaching that will reverse our mind from the samsara. So it will kind of like let it soften and clinging, grasping to the samsara, and so our mind will turn to the Dharma practices. That if we reflecting these things, these points. So therefore, this is the mindfulness practices, as well it will uproot our grasping, clinging, or attitude toward samsaras. It is also not making up. It is exactly true as it is. So now here, all component things are impermanent, like the water bubbles. Now, what is? That means all the component things. So that means this is all what we see now. All component things. What is component? In the Tibetan or in Buddhism, Buddha's teaching and philosophy, they use say, what is symbol of the component? Or what is the characteristics of the component? The characteristic or the symbol of a component is moment you existing, that moment is changing. Moment you existing, that moment is changing. There is no pause, no change. Moment is existing, moment is change. Changing, that is the characteristics of the symbol of the component. Everything. In that way, there is 2 impermanence. Now that means the impermanent is changing. Impermanent. Impermanent is in the component, again, if you talk that all this world outside, all this world phenomena existing, water, fire, wind, earth, these 4 elements, everything is changing. Inwardly looking to our physical forms, our breathings, our mind, and everything really changing. So 4 elements are changing externally, 4 elements are changing inward, not sitting anything. And that change has 2. Something that we can detect it, something that we cannot detect it. that there is an undetectable impermanent, that is called subtle impermanent, undetectable. Our senses are so gross, we don't detect that subtle impermanent. As in the teaching said, as I said, the moment you exist, that moment is changing. We don't detect that. That is subtle impermanent. We don't detect it. We only detected gross ones. Gross that comes from where? From subtle. Subtle impermanent. That both gross. Then we see all the changing. Our eyes are, or our consciousness, our mind, intelligence is gross. And who detected that? According to Buddhism, those one who has a realization of the first booming, they detect it. They will detect. And then become more deeper, more stronger, sharper, and then Buddhas are detecting. And our eye, what use the examples. For example, one hair, the H-A-I-R, hair, dropped that on the palm, we won't detect it. One slide hair, blocked it, dropped it in our palm, we won't detect. We won't feel anything. But that same size, if we drop it in our eye, immediately we will feel. Immediately we will see. So the knowledge of the enlightened beings are like eyes. Immediately they see things where things are happening. Our knowledge is gross. We don't really detect anything yet. So this is the way the nature is. Phenomena existing is. The moment you developed, that moment it started changing. Now we started thinking of the gross ones. Gross impermanent, then in the teaching said. Then you think, reflecting the mind impermanent, the gross level, thinking of the world. Whole world. How whole world is changed. And we read the histories, how much world is changed. And even our lifetime, this world is changing so much. So reflecting the mind, how the mind world is changing. And reflecting the mindfulness to how inhabitant of the world is changing. That's the second. And then reflecting the mind of the impermanent, how all those noble beings are changed. All noble beings, those are considered very high in the noble, enlightened beings, more kind of, not like us, more special beings. Those are in Tibet. Tibet is such those great lamas, His Holiness. And then in a different paid, you have noble ones. How much changed? Reflecting the mind, all the noble ones. Reflecting the impermanent, made all the powerful ones in the world. Those who are so powerful, so strong, so rich, so majestic, and so kind of things do by just by word or by signal, they can change so many things. And how much things change. Those all gone. And then reflecting the generally impermanent, how much change in our own lives since the beginning of time, since I have the memories until now. How many things changed? Oh, one after another life. It's just like in that way, if you look at how many things change, it's just like moving everything so speed of light. Really changing completely. If somebody is watching on the other side of the mountain or in the space to look into this world, what things changing in all the individuals, it changes. It's just so fast, so moving. Everything is like that. So all. And then our own self, reflecting to our own self. How much things changed since I have the memories. Or even 15, 20 years ago, how much we changed things. And everyone is changing. This is not stopping here, no stopping. It's continually changing. So therefore, life is precious, life is fragile. Fragile, great master Nagarjuna said, in his teaching said, life has so fragile, it has so many opponents. Opponents surrounding everything. They are like wind blowing. And life is so fragile and tender, it's like butter lamb. Our lives. But blowing air and wind, so many things happen every direction, but still, this fragile light is still lightning, or still light, still is not glow away. How amazing, how wonderful. It's true. That's the reason we should feel joy, appreciation. Our life is so precious. And what great Master Maharaj said in his teaching said, life is so difficult to find these precious lives. It's more difficult than used in this Buddha teaching. They called pullover called Odamvara. Life is more rare than Odamvara, pullover. Difficult to find. Once you obtain that, it is so valuable, so precious, than the wish-fulfilling jewel. The fulfill that all the wishes, whatever you desired. According to Buddha's teaching, there is a jewel, that if you have that, if you glorify, honor that on the kind of special way to glorify that and wish what you want, it will bring everything. If you want wealth, it will bring wealth. If you want beautiful clothes, it will bring beautiful clothes. If you want gold, it will bring gold. Silver, jewel, all those things. That's called wish-fulfilling jewel in the Buddha teaching. So that's what great Master Maharaj said. Life is more precious than wish-fulfilling jewels. So difficult to obtain than the Odamvara flower, and so precious than the wish-fulfilling jewel. We got both. Rare things, we got God. We got so precious things, we got. Now what a great Master Maharaj said, may I have the courage to use this for the beautiful purpose. May I make the meaningful of this life. That's what really in the teaching said that. I mean, this is not just Maharaj said. It's true. Our life is so precious, so difficult to find, and also fragile. But still we're here. We're doing good things. How wonderful, how special, thankful, grateful. We wish that to everyone have that similar situation, what we have. But at the same time, have courage and commitment, confidence that I'm going to use this for the beautiful purposes. To reach enlightenment, become Buddha, or help to all the beings. Really, through the Bodhisattva thoughts, as following the path and guidelines in light of all the gracious teachings, Buddha and enlightened beings, and follow the path. If we make those things as much as we can, then truly we are making the meaning for our life. That's called meaningful life. We're not wasting, taking the opportunities. This doesn't mean that you have to give up everything or do something. Just be more thoughtful, more calm, more peaceful, more content. Do the good things to benefit for all beings as much as you can. And each time, do good aspiration prayer, dedication prayers. Really time. And which more I can do. And calm and peaceful, humble and simple. That is known as the following the path of the great teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni, and all the enlightenment, Guru Padmasambhava. So that is the really of the first one, first one is called, and then is like fragile as like water bubble. So the water bubble, that, and then also in the teaching said all this universe and world is like what Buddha graciously Buddha Shakyamuni give example of this universal world or common things. Is like star. It's used, this everything is like stars. That means the stars are shining in the night time, but during the daytime we don't see. So it's like kind of short time display, rub. And then also what's called the double images. Universe is like double images. Kind of remains short time. Karma man-made. It's like butter lamps. Karma Juma. Then it's like magic shows. Juma. It's like dew. D-E-W. Dew. Juma karma Juma serpa. Short. And then water bubbles. Water bubble here. Mana. And then is all this experience in the universe is like dream. And it's all as like cloud in the sky. This all like is like or the lightning. It's like lightning. Those are the, I think, 8 different examples. The gracious teacher Buddha mentioned the example of this universe and the world. We are like this, really like that. So reflecting those thoughts, and in the teaching said is so good. And what the gracious teacher Buddha said, among all the conception thought, conception of the impermanent is supreme. Really said it. Supreme is a space. It is a conception, it is a thought, it is a mindfulness practices. But this will make our heart more tender, more simple, and then so we have more good heart. Good heart to ourselves, good heart to the others. And so those are the teachings said, and I will stop here today. Thank you, okay? Thank you, everyone. Thank you, okay? Thank you. If you have some questions, we discuss. Short time. If not, that's fine.